What's going on, guys? It's Dondre Campbell here, and it has been a long time since I've dropped another video. Really, there is no explanation to why I took this long. It's been a whole year. I know I was really busy. Shortly after I uploaded that video, I began my summer internship, my 2022 summer internship. So I worked as a tech consultant actually in the summer. So like that was a really interesting job. I'm gonna talk more about that in upcoming videos. But I feel like if I made it like that, the video would have dragged on longer than expected, like over 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually split the video into two parts. First part being cons, second part being pros. Okay, all right guys, so let's get into it. So a bit of background about me, right? I actually attended St. John's University, graduated in January 2023 as a computer science major. So when it comes to like programming, I'm pretty much at my element. I usually specialize in web development, but you know, like I'm trying to like branch off into other aspects. Also, the degree was like a joint degree with cybersecurity, so it was officially computer science cybersecurity systems. So it which also included networking skills as well, the concept behind like how connections work. Marvelous. But just to get into the video, right, knowledge wise, when it came to actual work, we had to know to score a actual tech job, we had to do a lot of the work on our own. I mean, yeah, our professors did a decent enough job, you know, introducing us to new topics every week, but at the same time we have to keep in mind that in college the courses that we get, let's say it's, you know, like introduction to algorithms or anything like that, or it's going to be like maybe once or twice a week, and even then not all of your professors will be like A tier. A lot of the times your professors will be just people giving you endless amounts of work just for the sake of giving work. Think of college as a system that introduces you to topics that it's your job to master and your job to learn. If you go through the entire curriculum and you don't go home and study, especially in computer science, like this doesn't really go for just computer science, this goes for majors across the board. If you just take the information in class, go home and, you know, just goof off all day, you're going to regret it. You need to organize and structure your life in a way that can be as productive as possible, and learn soft skills and hard skills like in the meantime while you're doing your semesters. Because if you just focus on what's going on in class, then you're going to fall back in the real world. I can't even tell you how so many students they actually graduated by just knowing Java alone, when Java is just a server-side language as you connect the back end to the front end, you know, of an actual like full stack application. So it's like it gets easier when we learn one programming language, we can like switch to another, but at the same time we have to put that idea into fruition. We pretty much have to keep on practicing and have to keep on growing our skills. Because like with me, I went from I started out on Python, went from Python to Java, went from Java to JavaScript, went from JavaScript to TypeScript, and I mingled in C# a bit when it came to dabbling in game development. Another thing to understand is that the information you learn will either be outdated or not enough by the time you get out. Keep in mind that we're taught only one or two programming languages throughout the entire 4 years to teach us how to code, right? But not to teach us the very skills needed to get the actual job. So it's up to you to actually apply yourselves when it comes to learning more skills. Because let's be realistic here, your chances of being hired are significantly decreased if you show up to an interview just knowing Java alone, because like it's just one tool among many that's going to actually build a project, or might not even be used at all depending on the actual work. And keep in mind, right, that I was one of the only few students that I knew in my class that graduated that knew more programming languages other than Java, and that had an actual job offer by the end of, you know, like our 4 years. So it's really not uncommon to see people going through the entire curriculum only based knowing Java alone, because that's just what was taught to them. You know, it's not really, not everyone has the time to go off on their own and study these many different languages, many different technologies, many different frameworks, especially if you're trying to get into more high earning aspects of computer science, such as web development. You're going to actually need to learn a web development framework. If you're going into game development, you're going to have to need to know how to use a game engine. If you're going to be a mobile app developer, guess what? Framework as well. And you need to know the architecture behind different frameworks, the architecture behind different development processes, and how they actually, you know, function with each other. Some might be better for more complicated jobs down the line, some might be enough to satisfy easy tasks. You really have to know what type of tool to use depending on the situation. And you just knowing one language out of many doesn't really help your case at all. So you really want to reevaluate your situation, right? Don't be afraid to reach out to other people, ask them, you know, what's their situation, how far have they gotten within their own personal learning. That's even if they're, you know, doing any personal development at all. You really want to be someone that can stand out amongst the entire crowd, because it's really not that hard to stand out when you really think about it. Like, some people believe that, I mean, depending if you go to like some really prestigious school that's, you know, situated for tech, like MIT for example, right? It's really most likely won't be that hard to stand out amongst your peers. Just ask around, you know, communicate with others, and try to build a development portfolio that can actually attract eyes. Another thing to keep in mind is that depending on your situation, millions of college students across the country are well into their third year of school, and they found out that they either have to change majors due to the fact that they simply aren't interested, or their field isn't profitable. And they've recently found out because, like, okay, for instance, before watching this video, I watched YouTube to see, you know, like if I could find any inspirational ideas about making this video. I saw like this interview video where students at UCLA, right, they were being interviewed on why they enrolled, you know, what degree they're in, are they happy, you know, so far in school. A few shocking answers to me back to back was the fact that many of them were enrolled into things that they obviously didn't really care about. It's not like they were going to school to find interests that they loved, you know, interests that they knew could put food on the table at the end of the day. For instance, like one student said that their major was political science, right, or poli-sci. You can't do jack shit with poli-sci unless you're trying to apply yourself to get into law school. That's pretty much, you know, your only option for certain degrees like that. Other degrees like journalism, health studies, like art, there's so many different fields that simply aren't required of a 4-year degree, especially one at a private university that could cost you tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 nowadays to 40,000, 50. Like, it's just not worth it. Like, school really isn't for everyone, and that's not saying that you aren't smart enough. It's just saying that your interests may not align, right? Because honestly, me even going to school for computer science too, that was even a stretch. Like, I questioned if I should even still be attending that institution, and what pushed me along was simply the fact that I had opportunities at hand that, you know, I knew exactly what I could do to get a job when I got out, right? And, you know, surprise, surprise, it happened. But not everyone is fortunate to be in a situation like that, to, you know, like have their major be like a golden standard as computer science, where, you know, there's a higher chance of you being employed than others, for example. Not everyone's in that same boat. So you really have to just be aware of your situation, and don't be afraid to, you know, do research and just get out. And I don't know, just like maybe not even attend for the first year. Like, just not attend at all if you don't know what to do, because really and truly it makes no sense to be invested in such a big financial endeavor and not know exactly what's going to be at the end of the road. Okay guys, this brings us to the end of the video. thanks so much for watching. This was my first video in a year, so hopefully I didn't do too bad on it. Stay tuned for part 2, the pros of going to college. You know, that's not what it's going to actually be titled, but you know, I'll mingle around that in editing. The point is, like, subscribe, share, comment, you know, tell your friend, tell your mom. I know who's watching, by the way. You know, subscriber list isn't that long. All right, guys, peace.